community.
So tell us about your grandfather.
My great-grandfather was one of the most loving and genuine human beings that I've ever met. He always had a smile on his face, regardless of everything that he'd been through. He was a European Jew born in Warsaw, Poland, and he was transferred to Auschwitz concentration camp at the age of 18.
Well, he was Afro-German. He was from the Rhineland and West Germany. He was born in 1928, and his father was from an African colony in Congo, his mother being a white German woman.
So tell us about your great-grandfather.
He was born in Bad Lippspring, Germany. At the age of 5, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, which is a disease that the immune system eats the covering of the nerves.
He was definitely a brave soul. That's what I could say. My great-grandfather, he was from Austria, and his parents were both from Roma descent, and in other words, people used to call them gypsies.
My great-grandfather and his family were Jehovah's Witnesses. He was born in Bad Lippspring, Germany in 1920. Him and his family were very faithful to their religion, and it is that same religion that helped him stay strong throughout the Nazi regime.
So why do you think the Jews were the most persecuted group?
Adolf Hitler blamed them for the defeat of the German Empire. He claimed that the Jews betrayed them and brought a left-wing government to power. And not to mention that in the early 1920s to 1930s, Germany was still in an economic crisis, and by expelling the Jews, they thought that that was the reason and the solution to all of their economic problems.
What are some of the specific techniques used to dehumanize your group?
Hitler considered disabled people to be inferior to genetic makeup. Basically, they didn't fit into his perfect view of an Aryan. So he had infants and children with mental and physical disabilities killed by a deadly injection or starvation, while the adults were burned alive.
The Nazis mainly practiced sterilization among the Afro-Germans. This was their attempt to make sure there were no more Rhineland bastards and mixed races.
During the Holocaust, the Jews were seen as less than human. The Nazis even referred to them as rats, and they were forced to wear a yellow Star of David as a badge of shame so that others could see them and avoid them.
The gypsies were tattooed with the letter Z, and it stands for, I think it's Zingener. And they were required to wear a brown and black triangle to single them out from everybody else. And he was definitely traumatized. And I remember my mom telling me that he had marks because he used to get medically experimented on.
My grandfather told me that the Jehovah's Witnesses would be tortured while they were in the camps. He said that they would be tortured in order to get them to renounce their faith. But he also told me that if it wasn't for the Jehovah's Witnesses, he wouldn't have stayed strong while they practiced their religion.
What was it like for your grandfather growing up during the Holocaust?
Scary. Horrific.
Traumatizing.
It was tough.
Hard. Very hard.
There's no other way to put it. Knowing that he may or may not have survived the cruelty of the Nazis or even eating the next day, it was pretty harsh.
He said that his family couldn't practice their religion without feeling threatened or worrying about being sent to prison or a concentration camp. He also said that it was tough for him in school because other kids would bully him and the teachers would pick on the kids of Jehovah's Witnesses, especially if they didn't do the Nazi salute.
I would say hard, very hard. Just because from the moment he was brought into the world, he was already hated by them. Growing up, he was referred to as a Rhineland bastard and a threat to the Germanic race.
Why is it important that people know that the Jews weren't the only group affected by the Nazis?
I think it's important because many lives were lost. So I feel like when speaking about something so detrimental, such as the situation, it's important to know your specifics, such as how many lives were lost, the types of people, races, all that.
It does shock me at times to realize that some people didn't, never knew that other groups or individuals were affected by Nazi cleansing. And I definitely feel like it should be shared more often than it has been.
What was the outcome of the Nazi racial cleansing?
Between 200 and 250,000 physically handicapped people were murdered in the late 1930s.
The outcome was mainly death. 6 million Jews were killed.
About 2,500 German Jehovah's Witnesses were sentenced to the concentration camps and prisons, and of those 2,500, about 1,000 died.
This was something I had to research on my own, but in this article I read, it said that just about like 250,000 Roma descendants died, and I'm just grateful my great-grandfather was not part of that number, and now I'm here telling his story.
Would you tell your children about what happened to your great-grandfather?
Yes, of course. I don't want to hide a part of their grandfather's life from them, and I don't want them to be ashamed because of it. His story deserves to be told because many people didn't live to tell theirs, and I want to make sure their story's heard.
My mother told me, I was definitely shook because I couldn't believe that's what my great-grandfather had to live through. I would most certainly tell my children, and I would hope that my children will tell their children about what happened to my great-grandfather.
Would you tell your children about what happened to your great-grandfather?
Of course I would. If it wasn't for him staying strong and keeping his faith, I wouldn't be here, and most importantly, they wouldn't be here.
Would you tell your children about what happened to your great-grandfather?
Absolutely, because a situation like this, I feel like it's very important to know your history, especially by my grandfather surviving the situation. I feel like it's important to know that not just it was Jews, that it was handicapped, blacks.
Absolutely. I couldn't let the story of them go in vain. And a lot of people don't know about the black women, men, and children killed during the Holocaust.
Yeah, you just keep looking at me.
I'm recording right now. We're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So tell us about your great...
Okay.
How do people be actresses?
My great-grandfather was one of the most loving and genuine human beings I've ever met. He always had a smile.
What were some of the